Welcome to our programming day. This is Cable 2, Community Television in Fairhaven and Acushnet. We are here to serve the community's interest. We teach residents how to produce their own programs, free of charge. If you're interested, just drop by the Cablevision offices at 360 Washington Street during normal business hours and pick up a video workshop application. And now, our first program of the day will begin in a few moments. You're watching Cable 2, your community television channel.
Welcome to another segment of Fairhaven Acushnet magazine. This is the edition of June 23rd, 1985, and I'm Dana Reeves, your host for today. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Fairhaven Acushnet Advocate, our weekly newspaper. What I have in this baggie is dust. This is from the eruption of Mount St. Helens in Washington. This is wonderful stuff. You can crumble it up and make fairy dust out of it. Would you believe me if I told you it came from Fairhaven? How about if I told you it came from Fairhaven, Washington? Later on in this edition of the magazine, we're going to talk about our friends in Fairhaven, Washington, our sister city in the West. But first, our very first segment of this edition is part 3 of Puppy Pet Tips with Dave Szeliga and his beautiful little golden retrievers.
And thank you, Dana, and welcome to part 3 of Puppy Pet Tips. And boy, I'll tell you, they've grown quite a bit since the last time we talked. And unfortunately, Kevin Burrow, the animal control officer, couldn't be with us today. He had an emergency. Nevertheless, Dave is here to tell us about part 3 of Puppy Pet Tips. And Dave, I understand this is a rather complicated segment because there's a lot of things you have to remember at this stage, at the point where the puppies are now, huh? Could we recap the last part, too? By the way,
recap of the previous weeks that we've gone over. Well, you've seen them basically start from helpless little creatures, totally dependent on the mother. They moved along through stages where, they started becoming aware of the world around them when their eyes started opening, their ears started opening a little bit. And we're at the point now where they're pretty much aware of what's going on around them, quite active puppies. A lot of work, to say the least, but learning every day and picking up everything around their environment. And it's the time when, actually, it's kind of fun being a breeder at this point. Okay, Mark, right now we're into what they call the third critical period, which is a time when you're going to begin personal attention and some training by the 5th week. The pup actually is beginning to form attachments to people as he is now able to recognize people. By giving him personal attention away from the litter and his mother, he learns that he is an individual. And since he is probably experiencing the beginning stages of what they call the social pecking order within the litter, his personal attention will help to counterbalance and dominance expressed over him by some of the pups. Training at this stage is begun in simple form, and because the best time to teach him runs from 21 to 49 days, he is learning, whether you teach him or not. And if he forms bad habits, it could be a stumbling block to later learning. By starting now, you are helping him learn to learn. You got to have regular socialization times established at this point, because studies proved regularity rather than length of time or frequency of intervals of human socialization is very important. You will begin housebreaking, because at this stage, puppies will begin to wander out of their nest to evacuate. This natural tendency to want a clean den makes housebreaking easy at this stage. An area used should be heavily lined with papers. And you will continue with individual socialization during 6th and the 7th weeks. And the reason for this is this will help to even further establish the fact that the puppy is an individual and will help build his confidence in himself. You will wean and discipline during this period. You begin feeding puppies from dish, but you don't remove the mother completely. She should continue to have access to the pups and to nurse them in between feedings if she is willing. Do not completely remove his mother before the end of the 7th week. Even though weaning has been completed, she should have access to her pups to clean, play with, and discipline them. The reason for this, Mark, is pups removed from their mother completely during this period are often noisy and nervous for the rest of their life. The new actions, reactions you'll see at this time also are the social lit order is established during this period. The pups begin play fighting as well as actual fighting, primarily over food. By 7 weeks, the pup has an adult brain. He only lacks experience. Pups can recognize different people, and he responds to voices.
Okay, Dave. Well, thank you very much for going along with Fairhaven Acushnet Magazine for the 3rd time in Puppy Pet Tips. We have one more segment coming up on Puppy Pet Tips 2 weeks away, and we're going to recap from beginning to end this segment. And once again, Dave, thanks a lot. And now back to Dana Reeves in the Cable 2 studios.
Thanks, ML. Don't you just love to see those puppies? Did you know that Dave Szeliga takes them around to nursing homes for pet therapy? What could be better therapy than a cuddly little fat puppy? In any case, now we are going to see the results of the Fairhaven Road Race, which was held Father's Day, June 16th in Fairhaven.
On a humid and wet Father's Day, the 11th annual Fairhaven Road Race was underway with over 390 runners, and they ran a distance of 6.2 miles. And first place once again went to Joe Rocha, a former New Bedford High Star runner, and he won the race with a time of 30 minutes and 40 seconds. He also was victorious in 1981, 82, and last year. Second place winner was Ed Connor of Newton with a time of 32 minutes and 33 seconds, and third place went to Steve Paulson of Fairhaven with a time of 32 minutes and 53 seconds. The first female runner was Eileen Troy of Falmouth with a time of 39 minutes and 30 seconds. And the oldest runner was Leo Richard of New Bedford, 68 years old. And the youngest was Terrence Howland of Fairhaven, 8 years old. And the first father and son team to win the race was Joseph Fernandez Sr. and Joseph Fernandez Jr.
This edition of Fairhaven Acushnet 7 will be sent to our friends in Fairhaven, Washington. Remember I told you about the Mount St. Helens dust? We'll get to that a little later. Now, coming up next is a segment we filmed last summer that I'm sure you'll remember. This is a chance to show our friends in Fairhaven, Washington, a bird's eye view of Fairhaven. The star of this segment is someone you'll all recognize, the bell ringer of the Unitarian Church.
And with us here is Dana Reeves, and she is, Dana, I was going to say bell ringer at the Unitarian Church. Is there an appropriate title that you have here?
Acting chimer is the title.
Acting chimer. Okay, and what are your duties here at the Unitarian Church?
Well, I have several. I'm the vice president of the society. I sing in the choir. I'm on the Creative Arts Council. I get pretty busy around here.
Tell me something. How long have you been ringing the bells here at the Unitarian Church?
For about 2 years. It was funny the way I got started at it. I came in one Sunday morning after I'd come back from California. I'd been away a long time. And I said, "Who's ringing the chimes?" And someone said, "Oh, no one. They're rung automatically." So I said, "Oh, well, why isn't anyone ringing them?" "Well, no one wants to." I said, "I want to," so they let me. So I've been doing it for 2 years.
Well, what do you get out of ringing the bells here?
Playing the biggest instrument in the world. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, tell me something. We are going to have a tour later on of somewhere up in the bell tower. There's a manual type pump there that rings the bells. Apparently we've gone electronic over here now.
Yeah, that was done in 1970. It got to be a problem climbing the stairs every Sunday morning to play the chimes. There's an enormous double set of levers in the tower so that the bells can be played manually. But one set of levers has been disconnected so that the bells now are played either from this little keyboard or from an automatic player. There are 3 ways to play the bells, in other words. We use these 2. When people hear the bells at noon, the lunch bells, it's the automatic player that's doing the work. It's just like a music box.
And a lot of people must faithfully wait to hear the bells, and they know it's lunchtime.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Probably the fanciest lunch bell in the country.
Yes, and after lunch we have the Congregational Church at 12:30. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's good for the center of town. Dana, what is so special about the bells up in the tower?
What's special is that Mr. Rogers, when he built the church, was very particular about the scale of the bells. These are a D chime, 11 bells, which limits the playing. Either that or you have to be very good at transposing hymns into another key. But they were at the time considered the finest of their kind in the country. He wanted the best that was available, and he got it.
I think you mentioned the weight of these bells before. Could you give us a figure, approximately what they weigh?
The combination of 11 bells weighs 14,000 pounds.
And that's all solid bronze.
Yes, it is. They don't swing. I don't want anybody to be alarmed. They don't swing. They are struck by, they're motionless, and they're struck by a piston. This electronic keyboard fires the piston that strikes the bell that makes the noise that makes the music.
Okay, Dana, could I ask you a personal question? What's your favorite song you like to play on the bells?
Amazing Grace.
So when we hear that, we can think of Dana Reeves playing the bell.
I play favorites for a lot of people. The church school director particularly likes Morning Has Broken. So when I know she's within earshot, I play Morning Has Broken for her.
So there's really no limitation to what kind of songs you can play. If someone has a request, you can probably try and play it.
Oh, yes. I've played folk songs. I love to play folk music on the chimes. It's a lot of fun. Just today I was asked to play for a wedding. And I asked the bride what she'd like, and she said, "Play what you like." So I thought, well, all right, I'll play what I like.
Well, that is certainly great. Well, Dana, is there anything else you'd like to add before we go on a further tour of the place? I think you wanted to mention that at 12 o'clock there's a particular machine that plays the bells.
Yes, the automatic player. It's hard to describe unless I can show it to you, but it's very much like an old-fashioned music box or a player piano. It has a paper roll. There are little metal fingers that sense the holes that are cut in the paper. When they find a hole, the signal escapes to the bell and rings that particular bell. So it's just like looking through the glass cover of one of those old-fashioned music boxes, and that's the way it's played. It's on a timer. It plays 2 songs every day at noon and stops and automatically goes to the next 2 until it's gone through the roll of 8 tunes. Then it goes back to the beginning automatically. It's all done with mirrors.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Dana, we're going to go up on the top of the very tower, and for our friends in Fairhaven Acushnet, you can't imagine how many stairs there are. How many stairs on the way up to the...
80, and we know every one of them well.
Yes, we're about to lug 60 pounds worth of camera equipment up to the top of the tower, and I think it'll be worthwhile for all our friends out there to see what the view is like from up there. I hear it's really incredible. I'm really excited to go up.
An appropriate song. I will play you an appropriate song.
Okay, there you have it, folks. We're going to go up to the tower, and as we do, Dana is going to play us some bells just for Cable 2 Fairhaven Acushnet magazine.
Hi again. To those of you who are regular readers of The Advocate, it's not news that our Fairhaven isn't the only one in the world. There are 6 others, but only one that's adopted us as its sister city, Fairhaven, Washington. It's even possible, although we can't prove it, that the western Fairhaven was named after our town by a whaler named Daniel Jefferson Harris, better known as Dirty Dan. Dan was born in Pachogue, Long Island in 1826. He went to sea as a young man and might very well have known the harbor and islands of Fairhaven and New Bedford. In any case, he fetched up in Puget Sound in 1853, and 30 years later he had acquired some acreage along the shore at what is now Bellingham, Washington. During the boom times, Dan Harris helped to develop his land into a small, very prosperous city which he named Fairhaven. The legend is that he saw a resemblance between his Fairhaven and ours. Both towns have beautiful harbors with islands offshore. Both grew rich in the seafaring trades. Both depended on the railroad for commerce and the development of tourism. If Dan Harris didn't name his town after ours, he should have. Even today, the 2 towns have a lot in common. There's a very active group, something like our Fairhaven Improvement Association or the Historical Society, called the Old Fairhaven Association, who are trying desperately to preserve what remains of the old downtown business district in Fairhaven. Look at the handsome brick buildings. Now, doesn't that remind you of Nantucket? Ty and Penny Tilson, who've been our link with our sister city since last November, are both officers in the association. They publish a monthly newsletter called the Fairhaven Plain Dealer, as well as the Fairhaven magazine, and we sent them a subscription to The Advocate, so we keep up with each other's news. Ty wrote just last month that he's very worried about what might happen to the Atlas Tack building. He's seen too many wonderful old buildings fall under the wrecker's ball in his Fairhaven. Ty sent us this videotape to show us some of the landscape around Bellingham Bay, as well as some of the wonderful old houses still standing after 100 years. He wanted to be sure we got a look at the plaque the Old Fairhaven Association placed on the gate post of the Fairhaven Rose Garden. It's got our name on it, you know. And when we had our Light-A-Light campaign last Christmas at the high school, Fairhaven sent us a donation for 5 lights to help our restoration fund. We've been exchanging bumper stickers and cup plates, t-shirts, postcards, anything we can think of that says Fairhaven on it. We've even got a calendar from the Fairhaven Pharmacy, and so have they. We promised to send our Washington friends some video clips from our Fairhaven Acushnet magazine so that they could get a look at their namesake. We'll be sending that tape along shortly. One more thing, we have an old friend in common with our Western brethren, Mark Twain. He was a guest at the Fairhaven Hotel in Fairhaven, Washington in the 1890s. And all along I thought he spent all his time here visiting with Henry Huddleston Rogers. If you'd like to get in touch with the folks in our sister city, you can write to Tyrone Tilson, 1128 19th Street, Bellingham, Fairhaven, Washington, 98225. They'd love to hear from you. Coming up next is a special treat for all of us in Fairhaven as well as for our friends in Fairhaven, Washington. It's our 10th annual Homecoming Fair in the center of Fairhaven at Center and Walnut Streets, all day on Saturday from 7 o'clock in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. We really celebrate. This is your chance, Fairhaven, Washington. This is your chance to get a look at good old-fashioned New England crafts and food and 10,000 people who all want the same thing at the same time. We have entertainment on the plaza of the town hall. We have entertainment in the churches. The organists of the Unitarian and Congregational churches give little concerts in the middle of the day. We have the Portuguese folkloric dancers this year. We have face painting and an art exhibit and a photography exhibit, and you name it, we've got it. Let's go take a look at the Fairhaven Homecoming Fair.
us here now is Roy Greenson, chairman of the Homecoming Fair in Fairhaven. Roy, tell me something. Is this a very significant turnout today? Did we break a record?
We broke the record today. We broke the record today. I was just talking to Chief Barcelos, and we did break the record. We've got something like 12,500 people here today. I'd like to thank my fellow workers on the Fairhaven Improvement Association, Richard Early, Kenneth Vining, for the help they gave me, and also Dr. Martha Cummings, the president of the Fairhaven Improvement Association, which sponsors the fair. I'd like to thank the Board of Selectmen. I'd like to thank Chief Barcelos and the Department of Public Works, Jeff Osich. And thank you very much.
We're here with Cheryl Moniz, and Cheryl, could you tell us a little bit about what your function here is at the Homecoming Fair?
Well, we have 27 artists. We have 3 groups. We have the amateurs, we have the photography, and we have the professional. We have 4 awards were given in each category on the amateur level for oils and watercolors, and we had 4 awards given on the professional level as well as 4 in the photography. This is a very good turnout this year, I think, and some of the winners were Mr. Ray Whitaker, first prize, and then we had, let's see, Georgia Marshall.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl.
Okay.
And good luck today.
Thank you.
With me here is Roland Seguin, and he's the chairman of the Tourism Committee, and I understand you have a new cup plate.
Well, actually, you are correct in most instances, because what we have just come out, the Fairhaven Tourism Committee has produced a limited edition series of a 7.5-inch commemorative plate. And this is the first of a series of 10 plates that will be presented by the Tourism Committee over the next 5 to 10 years, limited in number to 100 of each of the historic buildings and places in the town of Fairhaven. The first plate, which has gone on sale here today at Fairhaven Homecoming, is depicting the Fairhaven Town Hall. It is on a 7.5-inch plate, a beautiful white plate rimmed in 23-karat gold, with the Town Hall in a beautiful Delft blue with a flower and vine border. And on the reverse side of this plate is a short history of the Fairhaven Town Hall, and each plate is numerically numbered in gold, making them a collector's item. It has been something of outstanding response, and all of the proceeds will be used to better tourism in the town of Fairhaven.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seguin. And
I got me 10 forward gears and a Georgia overdrive. I'm taking little white pills and my eyes are open wide. Just pass me a Jimmy and a white. I've been passing everything in sight. 6 days alone, I'm gonna make it home tonight. Play it.
We have one more feature to show you on this week's Fairhaven Acushnet magazine, a good old-fashioned fireman's muster. Fairhaven has its own fireman's muster team, all call firemen, all volunteers. They work very hard, and they haven't had a fireman's muster in Fairhaven for over 20 years. This one really drew a big crowd, and it started with the parade on Sunday morning from Shaw's all the way down past the Fairhaven Firehouse, all the way up Main Street to Livesey Park, where the muster got underway. Let's take a look at the parade first.